All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And if people pop in, well, it'll work. So this is our College of Engineering information session. This is presented by the Dean's team. I am a member of the Dean's team. This is like a group of about 60 students here at Virginia Tech who do these information sessions. And basically just kind of want to help people see what the College of Engineering is like here and answer questions and kind of give you all a bunch of info about it. My name is Brittany. I am a junior and I am actually double majoring in aerospace engineering and Spanish. And I'm from Colorado, so I am an out-of-state student and have some experience with that. So again, if you have any questions, you can always ask after the presentation. I'll be answering anything that's like in the Q&A afterwards, and you can always feel free to email me if you would like. I can also, if you have questions about any of the other majors or want to talk with someone on Dean's team who's maybe in one of the other majors, I can always connect you with someone there as well. So feel free to email me about that. But we will go ahead and get started. This session will take about an hour. Kind of depends. We'll just see how quickly we get through all the info, but just kind of a general idea. So. All right, so we like to start off with what it takes to be a successful College of Engineering student here. This is by no means like everything that you have to have or everything that we see, just some common things that we see as students come in here. One of the first ones is creativity. Being in engineering is you're solving problems, usually problems that you're maybe aren't, haven't been solved yet, or you're working on creative solutions to them. So creativity is something that we see pretty frequently. Teamwork is another really big one. This is something that you'll do in like all of your classes. You'll be working on teams, you'll be working on those teamwork skills. And it's also something that you'll see in the industry. You'll be working with other people all the time once you actually get into your career. So it's something that's really important to, maybe if you don't necessarily have a lot of team like experience, that's fine, but we can always like get there later. And it's something that you'll work on through these. Next is study habits, something that you'll probably just kind of be working on during college, is your study habits. A lot of students come in with having some great academics from high schools and everything, and maybe not having to study as much for some of those things. In college, you definitely will have to study and will have to kind of build up some of those study habits, but there's a lot of great ways to do that and a lot of support for that here. So that's always helpful. An interest in math and science. Engineering is based a lot on math and science. You'll be doing a lot of math, taking some math classes as well as science classes, and that's usually kind of where engineering is applied to a lot of the time. So again, very common that we see an interest in those. And then a challenging high school background. This one is very subjective, really depends on kind of, what your high school offers. Admissions also, looks at what your high school offers versus what you'd be able to take, all of that kind of stuff. So very subjective on this one, but we do generally see that students who have opportunities to take AP classes, IB classes, honors, dual enrollment, anything like that, a lot of our engineering students usually take advantage of those opportunities while they are in high school. And the nice thing is that some of those credits can usually transfer to college as well. So next up, we've got just some general stats about the freshman class that entered Virginia Tech in the College of Engineering last fall. The average reported GPA was a 4.18 and on a 5-point scale. Again, kind of subjective. It really depends because some schools don't do a 5-point scale, some do a 4, some do different things with their GPAs, but this is just generally what we see on kind of a normalized scale to a 5. Average SATs were a 706 for math and a 676 for reading. And then our incoming class was 23% females, and then 13% underrepresented minorities and 21% from underserved communities. So again, kind of just a little bit of stats, kind of to see what our classes are made up of. So next we have general engineering. This is going to be, you actually enter the College of Engineering as a general engineering student. You don't go straight into your department. So general engineering is a great kind of entry point where you'll take a lot of different classes that'll be very common entry point classes that the entire like freshman class will be taking. This usually involves calculus, chemistry, and like physics 1 are usually kind of the ones that go with that. Like I mentioned before, AP, IB, dual enrollment, a bunch of transfer credit can be accepted. There is like a database online that you can look at and see what might be accepted for what scores you got on AP exams or for different dual enrollment classes. Anything that's kind of been like transferred before is in that database. So you can definitely see what might be able to work. We do have a general education curriculum at Virginia Tech that you will take classes for as part of engineering. We call it pathways here. There are 7 different pathways, and your engineering classes will cover a lot of them, but there's going to be a couple where you get to take some electives. Usually I think like one that doesn't get covered by the engineering classes is like fine arts. So you can take like music or art or theater or something like that to kind of fill that one up. And there's a couple different pathways that you'll just get to choose some of those electives for. And then the big thing is that after your freshman year of being in general engineering, you will select the major that you would like to go into and the department that you would like to join. So this is when you actually select if you're going to do, you know, aerospace or civil or mechanical or whichever one you're preferring. And if you have a 3.0 GPA at the end of your freshman year, it guarantees that you will get that first choice option. Regardless of how many faculty we have, how many students are requesting that major, we will add faculty and make it work if needed for those programs. And so everyone who has that 3.0 is guaranteed your first choice. You will be like selecting your top 3 at the end of the year when you're filling out that information. So if you don't have that 3.0, it's still possible to make it into your first choice if it's not like the program isn't full. But then commonly you might also maybe get put into your second choice. I've never actually met anyone who got moved to their third choice, but second choice is usually pretty common if you don't necessarily have that 3.0. The nice thing is though, is that the freshman classes are meant to be a little bit easier. They're not insanely difficult. And so keeping a 3.0 is pretty feasible throughout the year, which is awesome. And just a quick like fine print thing, as you can see on this slide, is that this is not inclusive of building construction. Building construction, if that is the way you want to go, does enter as building construction majors. You don't go through the general engineering like year and everything, but that is the only major within the College of Engineering that does not start as a general engineering major. So part of general engineering is taking a Foundations of Engineering class. This is a class that you actually take. It's like a 2-credit class in the fall and in the spring. So you'll take two sections of it. There's a lot of a focus on data collection and analysis, doing some different problem solving, a lot of teamwork that I mentioned earlier you'll be doing in this class, because at the end of your spring semester, you will be like solving a problem with a group of people from the class that you're in. It also helps a lot with kind of giving you idea of what software you might use as an engineer. So you'll do some coding, some like CAD stuff. Lots of different things like that, a little bit of technical writing, kind of figuring out a little bit of how to do that really well. Great thing about this class too is that in the fall, there'll be a lot of opportunities to kind of look at the different majors that we have. There'll be a lot of like speakers that come to your class to talk about their departments. So then you can get a really good idea of what each of the different majors here entail, and then can really make your decision at the end of your freshman year of which department and which major you would like to go into. So then this is just kind of our little pie chart of the enrollment for this year in 2024. As you can see, the biggest like portion of students is in general engineering with almost 3,000, but that's because that is the entire freshman class. General engineering is not a degree granting program, so you do have to like choose one of the other majors to go into. You can't like get a degree in general engineering. So then all the other ones are made up of the sophomores, juniors, and seniors once they are actually in their programs. Our biggest ones right now are computer science, has a very large population, as well as mechanical engineering. And then a couple of our smaller ones are mining engineering as well as ocean engineering. These ones only have about 85 students, or 85 to 90 students total in the programs. But that also means that you have a like awesome professor to like student ratio. So you'll get to know those professors really well. Yeah. So next we're going to go into the opportunities that there are here at Tech in the College of Engineering. The first one is our engineering minors. So we have the ones listed on the slide here are minors that are part of the College of Engineering. So you can add them if you would like. Usually there'll be a couple, maybe extra classes that you have to take depending on how kind of relevant they are to your major. Some of these, there'll be stuff that double counts in your major and for the minor. So like personally, I am actually doing a minor in naval engineering, and there's a couple classes that overlap with my classes in aerospace engineering. So it doesn't actually add on too many classes for me. Some of our other really popular ones are green engineering, as well as cybersecurity and computer science. Nuclear engineering is a really cool one that I almost did, that has some really interesting classes that you take. So lots of opportunities for that within just the college. But then if you want to add another minor in any other college, that's totally free to do so. I added a major in a different college, and so it's definitely possible, and might just add on maybe a couple more classes than it would if you were adding a minor in the College of Engineering. So then undergrad research. Undergrad research is very common here. It's very something that we love to do. Lots of professors will have research that they are working on, and they will usually kind of talk about it in maybe the first couple of days of the class that they're teaching, and they want students to be a part of their research. So it's always something that's open. You can always find a professor that's working on a project or something that you would be interested in. And a lot of the times they would love to interview you, love to talk to you about a lot of their different things and the different projects that they're doing. I personally did undergrad research over the summer, this past summer, and stayed on campus throughout the summer and worked on some ocean engineering stuff. It was really cool. This is also something that they love to get freshmen involved in, because then you can really learn and grow and stay in that research for, you know, up to like 3 to 4 years if you do it for your entire time in college, and you'll really get to know what you're doing and have a great idea of what's happening. And then this also allows for, you know, a good little thing on your resume to say that you've done some research and you know what that's like and have some hands-on experience in whatever field you're in. I did see something pop up in Q&A, so I'm going to look at that really quick. Okay, I'll answer some of these at the end. I just want to make sure there wasn't any like audio issues or anything. Perfect. So go on to the Rising Sophomore Abroad program. So what a lot of people come into engineering thinking is that you won't have an opportunity to go study abroad. Studying abroad during college is like an awesome opportunity, something that is really fun. It's a really cool experience. The awesome thing is that actually with the College of Engineering here, we have a program that is specifically for engineers to go study abroad for 2 weeks at the end of your freshman year, which is called RSAP, or the Rising Sophomore Abroad program. This program actually includes that you take a class during your spring semester where you actually just learn about kind of engineering in different countries and what it looks like in those different countries. And usually there might be a little bit of a focus on the countries that you choose to go to. Some of the options for this past year were Australia and New Zealand, Italy and Germany. My roommate personally went to Spain and Morocco and got to experience a lot of that. So really cool opportunity to do that. It looks at engineering kind of a different way in a different country to see kind of what that's like. And it's a really great opportunity to actually just be able to go abroad and have that opportunity while you're still in engineering here. A lot of our different programs have some opportunities to go study abroad as well. Some different departments have like exchange programs with universities in different countries that you can go study abroad for a semester, or you can always kind of work with a professor or with our study abroad office to kind of figure out if there's something that would work for you. But as there's a QR code on the slide, feel free to scan that and look more into that program if you're interested. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. There's usually someone else doing these sessions with me, so it's a lot of talking, but all right. So on to professional societies and engineering organizations. So we have a lot of these here at Tech. The ones listed on the slide are a lot more of the kind of professional societies, ways to get involved kind of even with just with students here, but also with the industry that you may be going into. I personally am a part of the Society of Women in Engineering, as well as the Society of Women in Aviation and Space Exploration. There's a lot of people that are a part of the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers or the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. These are great organizations and ways to kind of get involved with industry. There's usually events that you'll do with different students who are part of these chapters on campus, as well as opportunities to actually do some networking with people that are out in the industry and are maybe looking to just get to know some college students, or maybe are looking to give internships or jobs to some students here. So lots of opportunities for that. And it's a really cool way to get involved. And it's usually something that once you join it, you can be a part of it for life. And you can get a lot more of kind of continuing education and certificates and different things through it as you continue through your career. In addition to these more professional and engineering organizations, we have a ton of other organizations on campus as well. We have lots of clubs, a bunch of student-run clubs. We also have some Greek life that's related to engineering and STEM as well. Clubs, as far as they go, actually, we have, there's a chocolate milk club, there's a squirrel watching club, all kinds of different things. And if you want to build a club, if there's something that you want to see on campus that doesn't exist already, you can always do that as well. So lots of opportunities to get involved through that as well. So then internships and co-op experiences. This map is actually just of the dean's team. So about the 60 of us that I mentioned earlier. As you can see, there's quite a few students that stay in Virginia or in North Carolina or maybe Texas. This actually isn't fully updated because we did have a member who was who interned in England last year. So getting some experience in a foreign country as well. But these are just some examples of companies that Dean's Team students have worked for, either as interns or co-ops. We do want to mention that internships are usually something that you will do over the summer. So it's not during a school semester. It's something where it's usually an 8 to 10 week program over the summer where there's possibilities for, hybrid or online, or a lot of time you'll go move to wherever you are interning at and be working there full time for those 8 to 10 weeks. The difference then with a co-op is that co-ops actually happen during the school year. So you actually do take off a semester of school or a year of school, depending on how long the co-op is, to go do that. And you do go work full time during those. A lot of the times those programs will maybe have some rotational aspects. So you'll be getting to see some of the different parts of the company that you're with. But that is kind of a good distinction to know if you're kind of looking more for internships or if you're looking for co-ops. Personally on this list as well, I worked for the Federal Aviation Administration, and then I'm also working on a naval base for the Department of Defense this upcoming summer. So just kind of, some of the things that are represented. So then career fairs, was talking about internships and co-ops. A great way to get those is by going to career fairs. We have the largest student-run career fair in the country that happens here in September. It's called Engineering Expo. It usually goes for 3 to 4 days. And it is a massive career fair where we have over 300 companies that come to campus and are looking to talk with students and are really looking to recruit for internships and co-ops. One of the great things with this is that you can go as a freshman, you can go as any year here, even as a freshman, if you aren't necessarily looking for an internship or co-op. It's a great way to get some experience, maybe just practice your elevator pitch and make sure your resume is up to date. So we highly recommend going, even if you aren't necessarily looking for anything, because you also never know what might happen. There might be an opportunity that is too good to turn down and might be available for you. We also have career fairs. We have another pretty big career fair in the spring that's called Cameo that about 100 companies come to. And then almost every department will also have their own career fairs that are a little bit more focused on companies and opportunities for those majors. So personally, for the like Aerospace Engineering department, we have a career fair that happened shortly after Engineering Expo in September. That's called the Aerospace Defense and Intelligence Career Fair. So it's a lot more companies that are focused on that. Like the civil engineering has their own career fair as well, that a lot of like construction companies will come to. And so there's lots of opportunities to go find companies that are looking for students like you in your major. And it's a great way to really get those like kind of other experiences before you actually go out into the workforce. One thing we do like to mention as well is that Hokies hire Hokies. It's one of our sayings here because a lot of our Hokies will come back as alumni, as recruiters to these career fairs. So it's actually a great way. It's really easy to find people who have maybe been in the same organization that you're in or in the same major that you're in, and they understand what you're going through, like how hard it can be to be an engineer here, but also the quality of the education that you're getting here. They really know that and are looking to hire a lot of people from Virginia Tech. So something that is really cool about our career fairs as well. So the next up, we have Galileo and Hypatia. These are a living learning community that exists here on campus. It's hosted in Pritchard Hall, which is one of our residence halls. And one of the big things with this is that it's actually, you get to live kind of on like in the same dorm as a lot of other engineers. So you can join this program and you can you'll be like on the floor, your roommates, everyone kind of around you will be engineers, will be working and taking a lot of same classes that you're in. So it's a great way to kind of make friends, but also maybe have a study group and you can, you know, figure out those chemistry or calculus problems together. There's also upperclassmen mentors in this program. And so you have someone who's there to kind of maybe help a little bit with the transition to college, but then also help with figuring out your resume or your LinkedIn or with your class schedule for the next semester. So they're always there to help, and there's lots of really cool opportunities for that. There is also a maker space in Pritchard Hall. I believe it's still in Pritchard now since it moved there recently. But this is like an opportunity for the students in Galileo and Hypatia can go make things with like laser cutters, 3D printers, CNC machines, lots of cool opportunities for that. It's a living learning community that we highly recommend if you are coming into Virginia Tech as an engineering student. It can be a really cool way to just get to know people and have a little bit of that like mentorship and experiences throughout your freshman year. In addition to Hypatia and Galileo, we also have Digerati. This is another living learning community that's actually hosted in the same dorm as Galileo and Hypatia. Galileo and Hypatia are a little bit more just kind of general engineering. Digerati is focused a little bit more on information technology, so a little bit more for maybe students who are looking to go into computer science or computer engineering or something like that. Again, it has a lot of the really cool aspects that Galileo and Hypatia do with upperclassmen mentors that are kind of there to help out with this different aspects of kind of just transitioning into college. And it's, again, you're living around people that are interested in the same things that you are and are in a lot of the same classes that you are as well. This is also a living learning community that opened very recently, just opened in the fall of 2023. And so it's still, but it's been really cool. And I've heard a lot of people are really loving it. So it's a really cool program. In addition to these two, these are the ones that are a little bit more related to engineering. We do have, I believe it's 26 total living learning communities on campus. So if there's another another LLC that looks interesting to you, you can always look at those as well and apply to one of those. I personally was in a different one that was kind of more focused on like sustainable practices in some different areas. And so that's one that I was a part of my freshman year, but there's lots of opportunities for lots of different ones. All right, so next we have peer mentoring. Peer mentoring is kind of a great way to have a little bit of that, having like a mentor and having that experience and having someone to be able to kind of, again, help you transition into college a little bit without doing the commitment for Galileo Hipatia or Digerati. Peer mentoring is only like a 10-week program throughout your like the first 10 weeks of your fall semester here. And you can actually drop it after 2 weeks if you think you're doing fine or aren't necessarily enjoying it. All it's totally up to you. But the nice thing is here is that each mentor will have a group of about maybe 8 to 10 students that tend to have some like similar interests and stuff, and they'll just meet with you usually once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks to go over course schedules, make sure everything's going well, kind of again be help like get some help on resumes and LinkedIn and stuff like that. A lot of times they'll also go on hikes together. They'll usually give you free food a couple times, so that's always really fun. You get to go experience some of the restaurants around Blacksburg. So again, really cool opportunity. I did this as a freshman and I loved it. It was really cool to have she was a junior, I believe, was my mentor at the time, and she really just helped kind of give me an idea of what I maybe needed to work on with like my resume and LinkedIn and stuff like that. And it was a really fun opportunity to meet a couple other people as well. So next we have our STEP program. STEP is actually a summer program. That's a 5-week program that students can come live on campus over the summer. And you actually take the first 5 weeks of a couple of the classes that you take your freshman year. So you take the first 5 weeks of, I believe it's calculus, chemistry, and the foundations of engineering class. So you're actually getting to like fully take those classes. There's professors on campus that are doing them. A lot of the time they'll be the professors that you like will be with then in the fall when you actually enter as a freshman. And it just gives you an idea of kind of what college is going to look like. Again, a really good transition into college. The nice thing is too, is that none of the grades from those 5 weeks transfer into your fall semester. But then you come into fall semester having a bit of a leg up and you kind of know what those first 5 weeks of content are going to look like and can be a little bit more relaxed about that and actually getting into just the groove of things here. There are really cool opportunities with this as well to go hiking, go see the like drone park is shown in that bottom right picture as well. So lots of cool little activities and stuff that you do as well while you're on campus here for those 5 weeks. So then hands-on, minds-on is another one of our mottos that we like to go by. So this one kind of more applies to our design teams. We have a lot of design teams that do a lot more hands-on activities and are working on hands-on problems that a lot of students will join, and usually they go and do competitions all across the country. And some of the really cool ones that a lot of people at least hear about are like steel bridge. Concrete canoe is a really interesting one. It's a lot of civil engineers that build a canoe out of concrete and make sure it floats. They somehow do it. I don't know how, but they do, and they go compete in it and see how fast it can go. We also have like Bolt is a electric motorcycle. We have Baja SAE, which is kind of a like Formula One car. As well as Formula SAE is another kind of Formula One car. We have a human-powered sub, which is actually shown in one of the pictures here. So there's lots of opportunities to be a part of a design team and really get some of that hands-on experience. This is by no means a comprehensive list either. These are just the ones that are housed in the WARE lab, which is a specific lab on campus. But there are a bunch of other teams in a lot of other labs as well. So you can usually find something that's of interest to you. And it's a really cool way to just be getting some of that experience, but also be learning about maybe some other different aspects of engineering in maybe something that you don't know a ton about, because these are not restricted by major at all. So a lot of people will join ones that maybe aren't necessarily super related to their major, just because it's something that interests them. So then a quick by the numbers and a couple of our rankings. We have the #2 building construction program in the country, the #13 undergrad program in the country, and then the #31 grad program. And then we are the #9 producer of engineers, according to the American Society of Engineering Education. I always kind of like to say, take these numbers a little bit with a grain of salt, because they all just depend on the different reports that you look at, and They do kind of fluctuate year to year, just depending, but we do have some very highly ranked programs and majors here. So yeah. All right, so then outcomes. We like to talk a little bit about where freshmen go if freshmen stay in engineering. So over the past 5 years, we've actually had 80% of freshmen who enter as engineers continue into a second year of engineering. That number goes up to about 98% if they are a part of Galileo or Hypatia with living learning communities. It's just kind of a cool thing there to see how much that really helps with continuing into a second year in engineering. And then after graduation, only about 60% of people respond to this survey that is sent out. But of those 60%, about 66% are employed and about 20% are planning to attend grad school or are going to attend grad school. And then the median starting salary after graduation is about 77,000, which is almost, I mean, it's like 10,000 more than the median for the entire university. So then scholarships. This can be a big one. Scholarships is a big part of kind of, being in college, looking at a lot of these opportunities. The nice thing is that we have a general scholarship application here where you fill it out once. You just answer like the questions in the general application and it automatically puts you into consideration for any scholarship that you're eligible for. So you're not having to fill out a ton of different essays, a ton of different forms for different scholarships. It's just one form and that's it. You do also have to do your like FAFSA, your financial aid information is just a part of this to kind of know so the university knows where you're at. But that's a really nice thing is that you don't have to be filling out a ton of different things unless you're looking for, outside scholarships or other things that maybe do require an additional application. We do have opportunities for scholarships for transfer students as well. And then the big thing is actually that a lot of scholarship funds open up for upperclassmen once you have declared your major. So a lot of the College of Engineering funds and departmental scholarships will actually open up to you once you are in that department. So this happens after you've declared your major at the end of your freshman year. Again, it's one application, super easy. It's really nice because then you don't have to be spending a ton of time searching for different scholarship applications and applying to them. But this is kind of one of the good things to know is that a lot more funds do open up to you once you are a sophomore. And at least in my experience and with a lot of people I know, they've gotten more scholarships like their sophomore year than they did freshman year, just because a lot of those funds are specific to their departments or their majors. And then computer requirements. So we do have computer requirements for the College of Engineering because you will be running specific software that needs some different, things to be able to be actually run on a laptop or anything like that. We do recommend having a laptop or like a 2-in-1 or a tablet. Not by any means necessary. You can always just have like a normal laptop and take notes on paper if you would like, but it can be really nice to be able to flip your laptop or take notes on a tablet if that's the way you prefer. These requirements are updated yearly. I think the new ones have probably come out for the upcoming year. I haven't checked, but we do have that QR code there. MacBooks are not recommended. Some people make it work with MacBooks. If you want to have a MacBook and do have a MacBook, if you can make sure that they can run the engineering software bundles that you need to be able to run for some of your classes, then feel free to do it. But we don't necessarily recommend it just because there's a little bit of uncertainty with that. But again, always just looking at those computer requirements and kind of making sure you have one that works and fits all of those is the best way to just make sure that everything will run and will work out well for the software requirements. All right, I'm going to take a quick drink of water, but then we're going to get into all the different majors we have here, and I'll give kind of a quick overview of all of them so that you have some idea of kind of what the different ones look like and what they do. All right, so we'll start off with electrical engineering. So we like to say that electrical engineering, computer science, and computer engineering are all kind of related to each other. Electrical engineering is on one side, computer science is on another, and computer engineering is in the middle a little bit. So we'll actually be going through the three of those in that order. So then it's perfect to kind of see where they're all related to each other. But electrical engineering is going to be focused a lot more on the actual hardware of some of those systems. There's a lot more actually working on like circuits and sensors and a lot of stuff like that. Some of the really applicable kind of areas that electrical engineering is a part of right now is communications and networking, a lot of like power systems. Lots of the power grids, you know, across the country, across the world, are super important, and electrical engineers do a lot with those. There's also a lot right now going into kind of micro and nano systems, as well as radio frequencies, and some research into those aspects. And so lots of different ways you can get involved in electrical engineering, and it's applicable to really any other area of engineering as well. So a lot of companies that are maybe, you know, focused on more construction or aerospace or mechanical are still also looking for a lot of electrical engineers because it's very needed in a lot of ways to do anything with electricity or sensors or anything like that. Some of the things you can see here on the slide is like in that top left picture is Bolt. It's our electric motorcycle team. And right below that is actually our wind turbine team, which has, again, some of might be like, sounds like it's a little bit more related to aerospace engineering, but there's a lot of electrical engineers that are part of that team as well. And then there's also some really cool research opportunities in electrical engineering. So the next is computer engineering, kind of the one in the middle. So computer engineering is still going to be doing some of those aspects with the hardware, with some of the sensors, some of the circuits, stuff like that. But then there's also going to be some of the actual integration into computers, systems, algorithms, the different coding aspects, things like that. So there's a mix, and you can kind of choose which way you want to go and what you might want to focus on in your classes, on kind of if you want to stay more on the hardware side or the software side. Some of the really popular things and common things that people are going into right now are machine learning. It's a really big one, especially with kind of some of the up and coming AI stuff that's happening right now. Lots of stuff in like controls, robotics, autonomy aspects too with that. Cybersecurity is also very common, both in computer engineering and computer science. Again, a very big industry at the moment that a lot of people are looking for in their companies. So again, kind of with this, lots of really cool opportunities. One of the pictures here is actually like top right corner is actually computer engineers working with some of our like civil engineers on some different transportation aspects that they were looking at, and different things like that. So lots of different opportunities again to get involved and do a lot of things. And computer engineering is, again, very applicable to a lot of different areas and a lot of different industries. So next up is computer science. Computer science is going to be kind of very much more on the software side. There's not going to be too much interaction with the actual hardware. It's mostly going to be the software aspect of things. Computer science students here will usually be taking classes in a couple different languages. There's some options for that as well. I know people that have learned Python or Java or like R or C++, lots of different kind of options and ways to go with that. Again, cybersecurity has been very big in computer science right now. Some of the other really big ones are like human-computer interaction is actually a minor for human-computer interaction that is also possible in the computer science program. Software engineering is a really big one. A lot of people love some of the media and creative aspects, so might be looking into like game design or things like that. There's some opportunities for that as well. And then like systems and networking is a really big one too. We do have some fun things here for computer science as well. There's hackathons that we do. That'll be like 24 to maybe 24 hour or 24 to 48 hour like competitions. I did one as a freshman and stayed up for 24 hours coding something in a language that I didn't know before that. Didn't win anything, didn't do very well, but I got a ton of free swag and a ton of free food out of it. So it's a really fun opportunity. There's really cool things with that. We also have some cool like VR stuff and like virtual reality things and like a cube that is shown here that you can do a lot of things in and kind of program things into. So again, lots of really cool opportunities to get involved. The next is mechanical engineering. Mechanical engineering is going to be just about the broadest engineering that you can be that you can major in, because you're going to get a good foundation in a lot of different areas of engineering. So you'll have a lot of stuff in, you'll be doing like statics, kind of how structures are made. You'll do some things that are applicable to, aerospace engineering with kind of fluids and the dynamics of that. There'll be different aspects for materials, energy, like electrical stuff. So you'll take like classes in that are applicable to just about any other major in engineering. But then the nice thing is that you have a really great foundational base in a lot of different areas. And so then when you actually go into industry, you can work in a lot of different areas and in a lot of different ways, and kind of choose what, projects you might be interested in because you do have that experience. Mechanical engineering actually does have two other majors within it as well. One of them is an automotive major, so if that's really your focus, you can go into that and really learn the engineering behind that. And then our other one is robotics and autonomy. Again, a really big up and coming kind of industry right now, and so we do have a specific major inside mechanical for that too. Some of the other areas that a lot of people go into is like materials. Nuclear is a really cool one that people are looking into, as well as design and manufacturing. So lots of different opportunities again, and lots of different design teams you can join, as kind of are shown on these pictures here with our like Formula SAE team and our Baja SAE team that are shown on the bottom. We also love to talk about the picture on the top left is our robot dog that the Department of Mechanical Engineering made. I don't know how many years ago. It's been a little while since we've seen him. But our robot dog doesn't want to take over the world or anything like that. He just wants to do push-ups at football games whenever we score. So he kind of takes over that duty instead of the Corps of Cadets doing that. So just, one of the fun things within the Department of Mechanical Engineering. So then next is aerospace engineering. This is my major, so I do know a little bit more about it. But aerospace engineering is there's a lot of different focuses that you can go, but aerospace you can kind of choose two ways to go within it and then different ways within that. But aerospace, you can go like the aeronautical side of things where you're doing planes, anything that's in atmosphere. It's like helicopters, planes, drones, maybe stuff like that. Or you can go more of the actual like aerospace side where you're doing some things that are maybe out of the atmosphere. So like rockets or like orbital vehicles, so like satellites, stuff like that. Different, maybe space missions, aspects of that. And then within all of those, you can you choose if you want to go into aerodynamics or propulsion or the structures of those vehicles. Lots of different areas that you can go into to kind of have a concentration and a little bit of a focus on. Aerospace engineering also does a senior design program where you actually are like partnered with an industry partner to work on some problem that they have. It is like a award-winning senior design kind of like capstone project that is very good at integrating a lot of the different areas that you learn throughout your time here, and then kind of putting them into practice and allowing you to see how they'd work on an actual project. Some of the cool things you see here, we have a massive jet engine that hangs from the ceiling of one of our buildings. It's a Trent 1000 Rolls-Royce engine that I've actually had to go take pictures of for one of my classes recently as a homework assignment. It's really cool. We've heard that Rolls-Royce actually wants it back, but we took the ceiling off of the building to put this in, and we're not doing that again, so it's staying here. We also have a drone park, which is really cool. You can actually go get your drone licensing, like through the FAA there if you would like. And then there's also a lot of opportunities for research and other design teams that are related to aerospace. So then in the same department actually is ocean engineering. Ocean engineering is one of our smallest majors, but it's really cool. It has a lot of similar things to aerospace engineering. They're in the same department because the structures are very similar, the vehicles are very similar, and basically they're both in fluids. It's just air versus water. Ocean engineering has a lot of the same focuses that you can go into as aerospace engineering. So some of those are propulsion, structures, vehicle dynamics. And then you can also look more into naval engineering or hydrodynamics, some of those aspects as well. Ocean engineering also, it has a lot of applications with submarines, ships, things like that. There's also a lot of applications that are kind of in conjunction with other engineering majors, especially like some civil applications where you're looking at maybe like coastal structures, oil rigs that are out in the ocean, some of the different things like that. Lots of different ways you can kind of go with it. Some of the things shown here as well is our like human powered submarine, which is a design team that makes a tiny sub, and they do put a person inside of it who gets to pedal away and try to make you go as fast as possible. They compete every couple of years. We also have the top right picture is our sailbot, which is an autonomous sailboat. And then we also have really cool research opportunities here. We have a towing tank that's located in the basement of one of our buildings. So again, lots of cool things you can do with that. And there is a very similar to aerospace engineering, there is a senior design program that you go through your senior year that again partners with someone in the industry to work on a problem. And it's a great way to really get kind of apply a lot of what you learn. So next we have industrial and systems engineering. Industrial and systems is commonly known as ISE, and ISE focuses a little bit more on the human factors part of engineering. A lot of people will be able to do some kind of aspects in business, consulting can be some of the big things that people go into, and a lot of people in this might be able to go into more management, manufacturing, stuff like that. And there's an opportunity to do a minor in business with this as well. A lot of the applications for this are really making systems more efficient, looking at kind of, again, how human factors are affecting different systems or manufacturing processes, lots of operations research as well on just how things are going. So there's, I mean, basically any company is looking to make their systems and their engineering more efficient. And so a lot of ISE students will be able to go into a lot of different companies and be able to help out with a lot of those aspects as well. So in chemical engineering is going to be focused, as you can probably tell, on a lot of chemistry. Everyone that does enter engineering does have to take like your general chemistry class, but chemical engineering will then usually take, I believe it's an additional like 40 credits of engineering or of chemistry. So it's a lot of organic chemistry, physical chemistry, some of the different things like that. Lots of applications for it as well. I mean, everything is made up of chemicals that we live with or are around, everything is. So lots of applications for energy. Polymers is a really big one right now. There's lots of like food science applications with this too. Environmental, some of the green engineering is coming into a lot of chemical engineering, and then lots of research here too. One of the things you can see in this top left corner is our Chemi car, which is actually another design team where they are given a certain reaction that they have to make, and they have to make they have to decide like how much they want to use of which chemicals to make this reaction happen to make the car go a certain distance. And our Chemi car teams do really well at the national competition. I think they got second this year and last year, I believe. So they've had some really good outcomes. That's another really cool thing. Chemical engineering also actually does have a built-in study abroad opportunity. The summer before senior year in chemical engineering, there is an opportunity to go do a lab in either Denmark or Germany. And a lot of people will go take that opportunity and have all loved it. Everything I've heard about it has been amazing, where they actually just get to go be in that country for a few, I think it's maybe 8 weeks, and they're doing a lab and kind of seeing that in a different country. So the next is material science and engineering. Material science focuses a little bit more on materials. There's lots of different things that you can do a focus on, whether it's ceramics, composites, polymers, different metals. Some people will like do concentrations in these aspects, or you can kind of just stay in a general materials area and look at kind of what are the properties of each one, what can they best be used for, what should they not be used for, maybe different pieces like that. We do have a foundry actually that is shown in the bottom right picture, where the material science engineering students actually get to go make different things. This foundry is actually not open to anyone else. It is only open to MSc students. So something that's pretty exclusive and pretty cool to their major. They get to do a lot of different testing, lots of hands-on stuff with this as well to actually see how materials are reacting to different things. With this top left picture too, we love to talk about this one as well, where a few years ago, maybe more than a few years, but we had a football player who actually broke his arm and was not allowed to wear a cast during the football game because it was classified as a weapon by the NCAA, just because it's like a hard-sided cast, you know. And so our materials science and engineering department decided to make him a new cast that would protect his arm while still while still making sure he could actually play and the NCAA would allow it. And in the next game, he actually scored our game-winning touchdown. And the College of Engineering will never let go of that. So one of the cool things with material science. The next is our civil engineering. Civil has a lot of different areas you can go into. There's construction, geotechnical, land development, structures like water resources, tons of different areas. They do actually are required to take classes in most of these different areas to kind of see what they like. And then they get to kind of pick more classes that are focused on those aspects that they're enjoying. Some of the things you can see here are like the steel design or steel bridge design team in that top left corner, as well as the concrete canoe in the bottom right corner too. One of the things as well is actually that one of the civil engineering professors was a big part in actually discovering the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, and then was helping out with trying to solve that and really kind of figure out that issue and make sure that the water was safe. So again, lots of different applications for it. There's a lot of different things where they'll learn about the structures, about for both buildings as well as, you know, bridges and roads and a lot of different infrastructure that's just around the world. So then a little bit related to that is construction engineering and management. This has a lot of similar aspects to civil engineering, but focuses a little bit more on project management, the construction side of things, as well as some of the human factors that go into that. They'll take a lot of the same classes as civil engineers to get a lot of that kind of mathematical and engineering and science-based background, but then they'll also take some more management classes and stuff like that. A lot of the time they're actually also able to go be a part of, or at least experience a little bit of the different construction projects that are going on campus, because we do have a lot going on at kind of all different times. There's always something under construction, so they get to go see what those kind of look like. They also get to wear orange hard hats at graduation. So they're very easy to pick out of the crowd, and they do have tassels that they get to move across their hard hats, which is really fun. And then construction engineering and management also does have a 100% job placement. So it's a really cool, it's a really great industry to be getting into right now. So in building construction, as we mentioned earlier, is the only one in the College of Engineering where you actually start in building construction. You don't start in general engineering like every other major. Building construction has some similarities to construction engineering and management. There's a lot of focus on the business and like management aspects of things. There will be some of those technical classes as well, learning the actual like structures and systems behind construction and different buildings and construction projects. But then there's also a lot of focus on kind of more innovation and what's kind of up and coming. And again, opportunities to kind of be involved in some of the construction projects that are on campus. So then mining and minerals engineering, this again is one of our smallest majors, but it's really cool. They get to go do a lot of things. They get to go take like field trips to quarries that are nearby. They take a lot of classes about the minerals and about different mining practices and kind of what that looks like at an actual mine. They also get to take a class called like explosives, where they get to look at blasting and kind of learn more about that. My roommate got to take that class and absolutely loved it. There's a lot of applications for green engineering in this industry right now as well, to figure out how to make mining more sustainable and a better practice. And lots of energy production and aspects for, you know, different things like that as well. And this one also has a 100% job placement after graduation, because we're one of, I believe, only 9 schools that even has a mining and minerals engineering program. And so it's a really cool industry to get into, and something that Virginia Tech is kind of known for. Then we have biological systems engineering. Biosystems is going to be focused a little bit more on biotechnology. There's lots of applications for environmental engineering and watershed science. Some people also go into health professions with biological systems, food engineering too. There's lots of different applications for it. It's looking at a lot of kind of the systems that go into a lot of nature and ecological systems and different things like that. We do have in this top left corner, we have a soil judging team that goes and judges soil on I don't know what, but they do really good at it. So that's a really cool design team that just sounds very interesting. There's also applications to use drones, use different technologies in a lot of these, and there's a lot of opportunities to go out in the field and actually learn about some of the different systems that are happening in nature with kind of watershed stuff as well. And then our last major is biomedical engineering. So biomed focuses a lot on different devices, imaging like biomechanics. One of the kind of big, areas of research is cardiovascular health as well as cancer research. One of the cool things too is that there's a lot of like looking at how our bodies actually work and what are the mechanics of different, tendons in your leg as you're like kicking a soccer ball or something. Like, how are they all interacting and moving? What's the tension being put on them? Just different things like that. We do have really cool opportunities to be a part of like the Blacksburg volunteer like rescue squad. A lot of people will go into an actual like medical profession after this, but then there's still also a lot of different opportunities in prosthetics or imaging or mechanics. We also have a helmet lab that actually looks at different like helmets. They work in conjunction with our material science department to look at different helmets. One of the more common ones has been football helmets, and they put them on some of these like rotating bars and just smash them against different things, against the wall maybe, and see how the helmet reacts and what would happen to like, the brain that would be inside of that helmet. And so they've actually made a bunch of classifications for how safe helmets are that the entire NCAA actually now uses. They've also made classifications for like bike helmets. I think lacrosse helmets is something they're working on. So there's kind of a lot of research into that as well, and making sure that we're keeping athletes safe and people who wear helmets as well. So that is all of our majors here at Virginia Tech in the College of Engineering. If you want to learn anything else, there's a ton more info that I can give you during this online at this QR code. Each major has like a different page that you can look at a lot of different things, even look at maybe, what classes would look like, what different areas you can go into and concentrations in those majors. So that one's really fun. We like to kind of end this with a little bit of why did I personally come to the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech. So for me personally, I came from out of state, and I knew I wanted to do aerospace engineering. So that was really cool that Virginia Tech has a great program for that. But one of the other really big things for me was that I wanted to make sure that I could be a part of other extracurricular activities as well. So I'm actually a part of the marching band here, as well as a couple different teams and organizations that I dedicate a good amount of time to. And I wanted to make sure that it would be feasible to be a part of these different groups, and that the College of Engineering would be supportive in that. And they really are. It's great because there are a lot of engineers here, and a lot of the organizations that you will join and be a part of understand that sometimes the academics are crazy and you have a lot going on, a lot of tests or homeworks that are taking a lot of time. And they'll support you in that, and they understand that. And so it's very possible to be a part of the other organizations and stuff that you want to be in that maybe aren't related to engineering while you're here at Virginia Tech. And that has been something that I've really loved as a student here, and has been something I've been able to take advantage of. Also, I know you guys are virtual, so not on campus, but campus is absolutely beautiful. So if you do have an opportunity to visit, I highly recommend it. It's gorgeous. It's very nice. So, and that is actually going to be the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll just start kind of answering some of those if I can. I do know, I think we're right around our kind of time. So if you do have to drop out, that's completely fine. You can feel free to take a picture of like my email or anything and email me with any questions too. But we will stop sharing and start answering some of these questions that are in the Q&A. All right. So we'll start off with what is pioneering? So pioneering is actually going to be, it's one of the majors here. It's kind of a focus more on some of the conjunctions between science and engineering, and looking just really more at how those are really joined together. I personally don't know a ton about it because I didn't look into that minor or anything. But from what I know, it is kind of, I mean, there's a lot of science that is a part of engineering just in general here, but then from what I've heard, it's really kind of looking into those interactions and really understanding how they can kind of come together, and maybe more science could help with more engineering, or more engineering could be used in more other like science areas as well. Next one. We'll do that. Let's see, that one's done. What percentage of students do undergrad research? I don't know this number. Personally, out of like just people I know, I'd say probably almost. There's a lot of people I don't like necessarily hear if they're doing undergrad research until like they say something and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that actually. And that's happened really recently with quite a few people that I know. So I'd say honestly, like maybe even 50% of students in the College of Engineering are doing undergrad research. There's a lot of opportunities for it, and a lot of students that do choose to do it just because you can do it for either like credit to go towards maybe some like your electives that you have to take, or it's a lot of the time you can do it for like getting paid for it as well. So there is like kind of options for that, and so a lot of students do it. Are the companies for internships vetted? I've heard of companies giving work to interns that does not align with their major. So companies for internships, we do invite, everyone's going to be, that is invited to career fairs is going to be like a lot of times selected by the committees that run those career fairs. And sometimes sometimes it is companies that like also reach out to those committees who maybe want to come. As far as I know, and from my experience, they are usually pretty related to your major. And if they aren't, they'll usually be telling you that if it's something that might be a little bit different. It also depends on what they're looking for and what majors specifically they're looking for, but they will take people in other majors maybe if they're still looking for more people or think you'd be a good fit. So I mean, I'd say that they're usually all pretty well known companies. Like there's a lot of really big names that come to our career fairs, and it's a great opportunity to get those. I mean, nothing is actually like done through like finding internships, everything like that. Nothing's required through the university or anything like that. So it's kind of all on the student to really be looking into those and making sure it's something that they want to do. But yeah, they're all like great companies from what I've heard and know. All right, so we have one from Will. Currently in the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, the 2+2. Nice. Maybe I'll try to transfer to BT. I have not applied to transfer this coming semester. I'm going to get back to your questions because I probably am going to, this is for Will. I'm probably going to direct you to someone else in Dean's team who might know a little bit more about that. I will say with getting into the mechanical engineering school here with having a 3.9 GPA, you should be fine because usually for transfer students, we keep kind of that 3.0 is usually a requirement for that as well, from what I know. Taking extra classes of the summer might be dependent on kind of what you have already. And so it's something that we definitely have to like look into kind of what might be next in like the required courses for mechanical engineering, to see then what maybe you have and what maybe you need to take before you can take, get back on track, like on track with our program once you do transfer in. But I will definitely, yeah, I'll get back to you and at the end, and we'll make sure that we get connected with someone in Dean's team who might know a little bit more about that. Next one, how do you qualify for Galileo and Hypatia? So this one actually, qualifying for Galileo and Hypatia is once you are admitted, you can actually apply immediately to Galileo and Hypatia. It's like on a rolling kind of admissions basis. So there is just an application that you do fill out for that. So nothing necessarily to like qualify for it. It's really just filling out an application about like why you'd like to be in it. And I don't know personally what goes on that application for sure, but there are a lot of students that do it. So it is a great one. What is the percentage of students who want to go to computer science did end up going to computer science after freshman year? I don't know numbers, unfortunately, since I am more in the aerospace side of things. So I don't know numbers for that specific program. I don't even think I know for aerospace. I will say that, I mean, a lot of students are able to get that 3.0 GPA after freshman year. And so anyone that does have that is going to go, if their top choice is computer science, they will be able to go into computer science. So I think that's, it's usually a pretty good number, I would say. And the nice thing is that it is guaranteed no matter what, if you do have that 3.0. Is there any way to get a copy of this presentation? Unfortunately not. It is not something that we distribute as far as I know. I could definitely, if you would like to give me like your email, I can definitely see if I can send it to you afterwards if I get approval for that. But I don't actually know if we distribute this one. So, but definitely send me your email, and I can see about that. And maybe just write, if you put it back in the question and answer, maybe just write what you were looking to get as well. But I keep that and know which emails I'm sending things to. That's any special considerations to note for engineering majors who are also in the Corps of Cadets? So Corps of Cadets is going to add on a little bit of like classes, as well as you'll actually be living on campus like all 4 years. And a lot of the time, as far as in my program with aerospace, most of the cadets do end up taking like a 5-year program just because it can be a little bit difficult to get through the program in 4 years with all of the classes that are required for the Corps of Cadets. There is a large percentage of the Corps of Cadets that are part of engineering, so it's definitely very possible, it's very doable, and a lot of people do it. So definitely if that's what you're looking into and that's what you want to do, it's a great option. And we do have members of Dean's team that are also part of the Corps of Cadets and are doing engineering too. So yeah, I'd say, I mean, I don't know if there's any special considerations necessarily. It really does depend on kind of how your classes go and if you're able to fit everything into 4 years, and just making sure that you know that there is a little bit more of that commitment with the Corps of Cadets. Will the recording be shared of a presentation? We did record this. I don't know if it's going to be shared automatically, but if you want to send your email, I can definitely send it to you afterwards. How big are first year classes? Are they considered weeder classes? First year classes depends on the class. So a lot of the bigger classes, such as like usually general chemistry, I believe, is usually like lectures of 200 to 300. Physics is about 100 to 200. The like foundation of engineering classes are actually like really small, which is awesome. They're only about 70 students. And then like calculus is usually like 30 students maybe per class, because there's just a lot of sections for it. So really depends on like what class it is. So you'll get some of those really big lectures and you'll get some of those kind of smaller things too. But they tend to work out pretty well within those. As far as being considered kind of like weed out classes, I wouldn't say freshman classes really are. They can be difficult for sure. I will say that there's definitely aspects of them that you have to kind of figure out how to study for them, and really be aware of that and keep up on them. But the goal a little bit more within the College of Engineering as well is to make sure that you can have a good way to get that 3.0 at the end of your freshman year so that you can get into your like top major. So I wouldn't say that a lot of them are crazy weed out classes because they are also all things that you have to take to be in the College of Engineering anyways. What percent of students elect to participate in study abroad programs? I don't know a number on that, unfortunately. Um, I do believe that the RSAP program, every like location, I think had maybe 20 to 30 students that went on those. Um, so out of the, I don't even know what numbers that would be out of the freshman class. I'm not gonna try to do some quick math, unfortunately. But a lot of students do elect to if it's possible. I will say that probably the percentage of students doing study abroad is probably a little bit lower within the College of Engineering just because there are a lot of requirements and kind of certain sequences that classes have to go to. Just because there's prereqs and you just have to take things in a certain order. But there are still really great opportunities, and a lot of students will then maybe do a study abroad that's only like a week over spring break or 2 weeks over winter break or something like that. I'd say that probably stuff like during the semester isn't super common, other than maybe the programs that have some exchange things set up for that. What is the admission rate of engineering? How about ME or EE? I couldn't tell you. I don't know, honestly. I don't even know what our university admission rate is right now, just because we've had like crazy amounts of applications over the past few years. I do know, I think our general engineering class this year was about 3,000 students. So that's about, and I think there's about 7,000 freshmen that come in every year-ish. Application like numbers have definitely been rising throughout some of that time just because like COVID, there was a lot of people that took gap years or maybe coming back into college now. But I don't know numbers unfortunately for those specifically. But then with ME or EE, the big thing is again is that those are actually things that you declare after freshman year. Again, I don't know numbers like specifically on that, but that is where if you have that 3.0 GPA, you are guaranteed to be in whichever program of those you would prefer. Again, with is this recording PowerPoint available? Recording, I can definitely get and send to you. PowerPoints, I'm not sure, but if you want to drop your email, I can definitely see on that. What piece of advice you would give to a next year applicant? As far as like on the application, I would probably say to just be honest about it. Like the Virginia Tech application is not crazy. It's only like a couple questions, not super long questions either. So it's really feasible. It's really something that like can be easier to answer. But I'd say just like making sure that you answer them really like authentically for like how you actually are and why Virginia Tech interests you can always be great because like you can kind of see that through that writing. As far as like just piece of advice for college in general, I usually try to say like get involved in things. I know it's kind of a typical one, but it's really true. Like it is so much fun to be involved in different things and really take advantage of the time that you have in college. Especially as like a junior, I'm starting to realize that and be like, oh, I only have like a year left and there's so much I still want to do. So trying to do that. But then also balancing the academics with that is really important. Um, What's been your experience of being at Virginia Tech, given that it's such a big school? It is a big school. I will, like, it's definitely true. I personally still love it. I'm involved in a few different things, and so I actually still see a lot of people that I know just walking around campus. People just say hi, kind of thing. Like you recognize people and you say hi. It's a really cool. There's still a really great sense of community here. Being a big school also means that there's lots of opportunities, lots of things to get involved in. We have some great sports programs, which was was a little bit of what, at least why I came to tech too, with being in like the marching band and wanting to be at football games and stuff like that. But I personally loved it. I wanted to go to a big school. I think like I had some reservations about it, but I've really loved it, and I think it's been a great experience. And it means that there's just a lot of things to do and a lot of people to meet, and you'll still have a really great community within your major and other organizations that you decide to be a part of. Does Virginia Tech have an honors college? And if so, how would that work with being a part of the engineering school? So we do have an honors college. That is like part of on the actual application to get into Virginia Tech. I think there's just like a box that you check to say that you want to like also be put into consideration for the honors college. There are quite a few engineers that are part of the honors college. It's definitely feasible. It's usually just you have to maybe take a couple extra classes and do a little bit of extra work. But a lot of people are still able to do it. I do know sometimes that just depending on the major and the workload, some people do drop the honors college just if it becomes too much. But it's something that a lot of people within the College of Engineering are still a part of. Perfect. Emails. Can you show the breakdown of students in various engineering majors again? And how are the class size assigned from sophomore year onwards? Interested in chemical engineering. Yeah, let me show that again really quick. There, so let's see, there we go. Sorry, it might take me a second to get back to that slide. But I can work on at least answering some of the questions. So class size is assigned from sophomore year onwards. It does depend a little bit on the major and the classes that you're in. So like personally, some of the classes I'm in are like ones that are for my entire class. And so there'll be about like 200 of us that are in a class, but then some of them have a couple more sections. And so it's maybe like 70 in a class, just depending on how many sections there are to get different people into. There's also lots of lab classes that are like maybe even just 10 to 15 people, especially in chemical engineering with doing some of those, more of those labs and stuff for chemistry, or tend to be a little bit smaller from what I know. Here's that College of Engineering breakdown as well. Yeah, I think that's as far as just class sizes go, like you can see the breakdown here, like for aerospace engineering, there's about 660 students total. So my class has about 220 of those. But everyone's starting to, there's lots of common classes that a lot of people will be in, but then also there's definitely like once you start actually taking the classes that maybe are a little bit different or that are the ones you're interested in, those class sizes will go down pretty significantly too. Were you happy with aerospace as your major, or would you have preferred a different major? I love aerospace. This is the major that I wanted to do when I came in. I actually also was triple majoring in ocean engineering for a little bit as well, which I had to drop because of just time constraints on classes and things like that. But I absolutely love aerospace. It's what I wanted to do, and it has been, I guess, consistent, I think, with what my ideas of aerospace were going to be. I have a great like group of people that I know within it, and I've had some great opportunities through it so far. And I do like I can already kind of see where I'm going to be going after graduation. And I can already kind of tell that, or at least know what I'm going to be working as right after graduation. And I think it's something that I'm going to really enjoy. So I would say that I've loved it. I also have been working on like my pilot's license for a few years, and so that was a big part of why I joined aerospace engineering. So it was something that I just kind of came into it knowing that I wanted to do it. Perfect. And then is Virginia Tech an academically challenging school? I would say yes, especially because of just the amount of engineers we have here. We are like a technical school where our full name is, like Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. So we do have a lot of focus on some of those technical kind of classes and aspects. So it can be very academically challenging at times. The nice thing is that there's great support for that. I mean, all of your professors will have office hours. There'll be TAs that are doing office hours as well. So there's lots of ways to get questions answered and to get help on different things if you are struggling. But yeah, I would say like it definitely can be. It always just depends on the class and how you're doing with it, how you're understanding things. But yeah. Um, all right. I think as far as I can see, that looks like everything. Um, and I'm going to note down some of these emails just so I can get those recordings to you. And then Will Henderson, if you would like to drop an email as well, I can email you too. Oh, and then I'll answer a couple of these other questions that are coming up too. Um, yeah, anyone saying thank you too? Yeah, thank you. It's great to have you here, and I hope this kind of helped give you a good idea of what it looks like here. And always, again, feel free to reach out if you have more questions. Um, How is the depth or coverage in robotics comparing electrical to mechanical? Notice that both majors have exposures to robotics. So mechanical actually does have a specific like robotics and autonomy major now. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do in mechanical with that. Electrical, I believe you can go like into a concentration with robotics and kind of work on that. So there's definitely opportunities within both. I think it's going to be a little bit different depending on if you're looking more at like the electrical aspect of things and want to be working on the circuits, actual electricity, kind of power energy stuff that's going into them. Whereas I think mechanical would probably have a little bit more of a focus on maybe the structure side of things or material side of things. I think there's also going to be a lot of electrical stuff in there as well, but I think electrical would probably have more of a concentration on really that stuff, whereas mechanical is going to have like the ability to look at some of the different aspects that are going into robotics. Are the classes very generally hands-on or more lectures? It depends on the class. There's definitely quite a few lectures just because that's how a lot of stuff is taught. And a lot of the things like, especially in aerospace, at least personally, a lot of things they can't really do a lot of hands-on stuff with right now, just because it's like a lot of theory or stuff like that. But each major also has quite a few labs and opportunities to do hands-on stuff. So I was personally in a lab this semester that I actually got to do like different experiments with like a wind tunnel and like water tunnels and stuff like that. So definitely opportunities for that. I'd say probably like generally it'll just be more lectures than hands-on classes, but there's still a lot of classes that will have those hands-on aspects or projects where you're working on something that's maybe just more like real kind of stuff. All right, perfect. Thank you, Will, for sending your email. I will get back to you. And yeah. Um, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. I hope it was good. And yeah, again, feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. And if you do happen to visit, anytime when classes are in session, I will still be here for another year. So always feel free to reach out too. Yeah, I will stop sharing again, unless anyone else wants to see any other slides again, but perfect. We'll get this other email written down. Perfect. Yeah. So if no one else has any questions, I'll probably end this then, and and anyone who dropped their emails, I will make sure to get someone to reach out to you about any questions you had, or I'll try to send the recording as well as the slides if I can on these, but at least the recording should be possible. So thank you all for coming.